would like to tell everyone a little bit about how we launched and scaled ChatGPT, some of the engineering challenges behind there, a little bit of the backstory under the hood with regards to sort of what happened to make that grow.
Evan, thanks so much for joining us today. Could you just quickly tell us a little bit about who you are and who you work for, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Evan Morikawa. I work for OpenAI and manage several of our engineering teams within our applied group, which is broadly charted with taking some of this crazy technology and safely bringing it to the world.
Awesome. And Evan, we're so excited to welcome you to Lead Dev West Coast later on this year. Can you just tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about up on stage there?
Yeah, I would like to tell everyone a little bit about how we launched and scaled ChatGPT, some of the engineering challenges behind there, a little bit of the backstory under the hood with regards to sort of what happened to make that grow. Some of these aspects I think will be pretty familiar to anybody who's scaled engineering teams and backend and infrastructure systems. I think some of the unique things about the way these large language models work and behave, though, gave us some other unique challenges.
Yeah, and we don't want to ruin your talk before we get to it later on this year, but what was one challenge that really struck you when you were trying to scale this really popular ChatGPT tool to the world?
Yeah, GPU supply is by far one of our biggest challenges. It maintains to be a challenge today. I will go into much more depth about that during the talk. But yeah, when you're multiplying billions and billions and billions of numbers together, you have to have the specialized hardware. And I don't think anybody, including us, was really prepared supply chain wise to be able to make this happen. And as you can imagine, it's fairly difficult to turn around new chips on a dime. I think we've all seen that over the past several years, and that only continues today.
Yeah. And was there anything that surprised you about the ChatGPT launch, or did you kind of know in that room at the time that this was going to go crazy like it did?
So I would say that it was hunched by a couple things. One is that internally, we can play with these things and feel like, oh yeah, this is fun, but you don't really know how anybody's going to react to it. Several months prior, we launched DALL-E, and that was also this extremely cool, fun thing internally, right? Like image generation. But how that would take off, completely unpredictable. We did know that this was going to be the first time that we had no wait list on a product, which was an intentional decision when launching here, because historically, because of capacity constraints and because of safety reasons, we've put on wait lists, and no one likes wait lists in general for things. That being said, when we did launch, you could talk to these models already through our API developer playground. So in effect, we came into this thinking that not a huge amount would change. The models were slightly newer and safer. We had not released GPT-4 yet, but it's certainly the hitting a nerve with people here is not exactly a predictable thing. This again, kind of more the details of this story and some of the days immediately around that is, I think, another kind of key piece of the talk here.
Awesome. And then just for you as like an engineering leader, when you go through something as kind of explosive growth wise as that, how do you readjust to managing after something like that and a launch of that scale?
You readjust continuously, for sure. Everything was basically changing day to day to day at that point. Not just on the technology and infrastructure wise as well, but also we very quickly realized that we also need to very much grow the size of the team as well too. And as you grow any sort of organization, all of the different step functions that you have when the complexity of your team structures gets large, when just there's more people to coordinate with, when there's a lot of new people, all of those definitely hit us hit us too. And trying to get ahead of a lot of that has been a large personal focus of mine, as well as a lot of the other teams as well, in addition to all of the engineering that all of our teams have had to do to make that happen.
Well, this is great because we're talking about your talk at 2023, but we also seem to be teasing your 2024 talk by the sounds of it, because we can get it till next year once you've figured all that stuff out. So that's great. So let's fast forward a little bit. You're coming down off the stage. You're feeling very relieved. What's one thing that you're hoping the audience takes away from your talk?
One actually, I think, is to like demystify some of this whole like AI magic black box thing. There's certainly it's gotten a lot of attention as a field recently. I still think there is a feeling that the technology and infrastructure behind this is a bit of a black box. In fact, there's a huge amount of research going into, including from OpenAI and elsewhere, to unveil what is happening and make it interpretable. I actually remember this was one of the earliest things that caused me to join OpenAI. By the time, and this was back in 2020, but I thought I generally knew how computers worked, sort of, except for this area. That's still, it's still a little bit today. Felt a little bit magical, but at the end of the day, when you kind of like break things down and you're forced to look at the realities of scaling a system like this, you treat it somewhat like just like any other engineering system with a couple unique quirks to it, but nothing much more so beyond the implementations of how various chips and things like that work. Now, the research side certainly has a lot of like all different ways of thinking about these models, but I would say from the engineering and the deployment and the inference and the scaling side, it has been quite approachable for everyone, for me and on our team. In fact, for nearly all of our applied engineering group, having deep machine learning experience has not been a prerequisite. Most of our challenges are not theoretical statistics or math. They are about really deeply understanding some part of a system, building fault-tolerant distributed systems, building like reliable pieces of software that other humans still know how to read and interpret and build upon.
Amazing. And Evan, last question. What was it about lead dev that made you want to share this story with our audience in particular?
Yeah, I've been following the lead dev community for quite a while now. So when and particularly on the West Coast side, because this is such a concentration now of a lot of the AI talent that we have here too. One thing is that I feel like this community is the one who has also seen a lot of these scaling challenges themselves. But here again, both in team and culture and in technology too. I feel like if there's any place to find a lot of like-minded people to commiserate with, it has been this community quite a bit.